The air in Turin feels electric. Cameras flash, fans chant, and yet, in the middle of that noise, something completely unexpected has happened. Just days before the start of the ATP Finals 2025, Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, the two players fighting for the world #1 ranking, shocked everyone with an unusual and bold decision. They decided to train together. Yes, you heard that right. Two rivals who could face each other in the semi-finals or even in the final have chosen to share the same court, practicing, laughing, exchanging shots, and studying each other up close. In a sport built on secrecy, strategy, and psychological warfare, this kind of move is almost unheard of. The training took place on the main court of the Pala Alpha Tour, officially known as the Anali Arena, where the ATP Finals will run from November 9th to 16th. Under the watchful eyes of both their teams, Alcaraz and Sinner spent almost 2 hours working on forehands, backhands, and point simulations. And while they smiled for the cameras, the undertone was clear. This was no friendly exhibition. It was a silent test of territory. Both players arrive in Turin with everything on the line. For Alcaraz, it's a chance at redemption after his early loss in Paris against Cameron Norrie, a defeat that reignited doubts about his performance on indoor courts. But his mathematical path to finish the season as world #1 is still the clearest. If he wins 3 matches in the group stage or reaches the final, the crown will be his. Sinner, on the other hand, stands on home soil, surrounded by Italian fans ready to turn every match into a national event. He's defending both the title and his reputation as one of the most consistent indoor players of the decade. For him to keep the #1 spot, he must win the entire tournament and hope Alcaraz stumbles early. And yet, despite the stakes, both men appear calm. Perhaps because they understand that what's coming goes beyond rankings. It's about legacy. The Alcaraz-Sinner rivalry has already become the defining duel of modern tennis. 2 Grand Slams each this season. 3 shared finals. And now, one final showdown in Turin that could decide who carries tennis into the post-Djokovic era. Meanwhile, Novak Djokovic, at 38, is once again the silent shadow in the background. Though he skipped the Paris Masters and now plays an ATP 250 in Athens, his influence remains. Rumors swirl that he might still appear in Turin, which would throw both groups into chaos. For now, his name remains in the official draw, in the same group as Alcaraz, Taylor Fritz, and Alex de Minaur. As the tournament approaches, analysts can't stop talking about this unexpected training session. Some see it as a sign of confidence, others call it reckless. But one thing is certain, the decision by Alcaraz and Sinner to train together has added a layer of psychological intrigue to an already explosive ATP Finals. Friday morning in Turin. The air inside the Anali Arena felt heavy, expectant, as if everyone knew they were about to witness something unusual. Cameras from Sky Sport Italia and Eurosport surrounded the main court, where 2 of the biggest names in world tennis were warming up together: Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. It started quietly. A few rally exchanges, some soft serves. But soon, the rhythm changed. Alcaraz began to hit deeper, faster. Sinner responded with precision, his trademark flat backhand slicing through the air like a blade. For nearly 2 hours, both players traded intensity and laughter, the kind of paradox that defines true rivals who understand each other better than anyone else. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. In the stands, Italian supporters waved flags shouting, "Forza Jannik," while a Spanish group countered with "Vamos Carlitos." The entire scene felt less like a practice and more like a prelude to the final. According to witnesses, the training began with an hour of basic drills on a side court before moving to the main arena. There, the two simulated a single competitive set. Sinner broke early, taking a 3-0 lead, and eventually closed the set 6-3, backed by the roar of his home crowd. But when they decided to play a tiebreaker for fun, Alcaraz responded, stealing it 7-5 with a spectacular drop shot that drew applause even from Sinner's camp. Afterward, both smiled, shook hands, and left the court together, a gesture that perfectly captured their duality: fierce competitors and mutual admirers. Ferrero, Alcaraz's coach, later commented quietly, "You don't need to hide your weapons when your confidence is real." That sentence spread fast online. It became a message, not just to Sinner, but to the entire ATP field. Meanwhile, far from the buzz of Turin, Novak Djokovic was writing a different story. In Athens, at the ATP 250 event he partly owns, the Serbian reached yet another semi-final, the 199th of his career, defeating Portugal's Nuno Borges 7-6, 6-4. His message was clear: he's still here, still dangerous, and still capable of rewriting the narrative at any moment. Although his participation in Turin hasn't been fully confirmed, Djokovic's name remains in the official draw, and he's been placed in the Jimmy Connors group alongside Alcaraz, Taylor Fritz, and Alex de Minaur. The possibility of him stepping on court again against Alcaraz has electrified the tennis world. Djokovic, now 38, has won the Nitto ATP Finals 7 times, a record. He's done it in multiple eras, against different generations. And in 2023, it was Alcaraz who felt his dominance firsthand in the semi-finals. This time, the Spaniard arrives wiser, calmer, and more mature. But the challenge remains enormous. Observers note a pattern. Djokovic uses smaller tournaments like Athens to sharpen specific aspects of his game: serve placement, defensive movement, and timing on indoor surfaces. His skipping of Paris wasn't rest, it was strategy. He's keeping his cards hidden, waiting for the right moment to strike. As day turns to night in Turin, tension builds. Cameras follow Alcaraz as he leaves the arena, hoodie up, earphones on. He doesn't stop for interviews. He doesn't need to. Because for Carlos, the next 7 days aren't just about tennis. They're about proving that he can rise again, even under the cold fluorescent lights of an indoor court. As the countdown to the ATP Finals 2025 enters its last 48 hours, Turin feels like the epicenter of world tennis. Hotels are packed, the streets are covered with posters of Alcaraz and Sinner, and the Anali Arena, dressed in blue and white, hums like a giant engine waiting to ignite. For Carlos Alcaraz, the atmosphere is familiar yet different. He's been here before, but this time, the stakes couldn't be higher. After his early exit in Paris, every practice, every gesture, and every shot he hits in Turin is being dissected by analysts and fans worldwide. His mission is simple, yet monumental: reclaim the world #1 ranking and silence the narrative that says he struggles on indoor courts. His draw, however, couldn't be tougher. In his group are Novak Djokovic, Taylor Fritz, and Alex de Minaur, 3 players who thrive on fast surfaces. The surface in Turin is among the quickest on tour, favoring aggressive baseline hitters and elite servers, 2 categories Djokovic has dominated for nearly 2 decades. For Alcaraz, this means adapting. The indoor environment leaves no room for hesitation: shorter rallies, flatter shots, and sharper focus. His coach, Juan Carlos Ferrero, has spent the last week fine-tuning his players' mental rhythm rather than his technique. Between sessions, Ferrero insists on one thing: patience is power. It's the philosophy they've used all season, controlling the emotion without losing the fire. Meanwhile, Jannik Sinner moves through the corridors of the arena like a rock star. The Italian fans follow him everywhere: at practice, at the hotel, even during his short coffee breaks. Every time he steps on court, the crowd roars his name. The home energy could either lift him to new heights or drown him in expectation. Sinner knows it. In a recent interview, he admitted, "Winning here would mean more than any other title. But I know how heavy that dream can feel." The numbers speak for themselves. Sinner has won 10 titles in the past 2 seasons, has defeated Djokovic multiple times, and currently holds the world #1 ranking. Yet, the shadow of Alcaraz looms large. The Spaniard has beaten him 10 times in their 15 encounters, a psychological edge that no statistic can erase. Despite their rivalry, the relationship between Sinner and Alcaraz remains one of the most fascinating dynamics in modern tennis. Off the court, they share jokes and respect. On the court, they fight like enemies. Their surprise joint practice earlier this week was more than a warm-up, it was a declaration. A silent pact that this tournament belongs to their generation now. Fans sense it too. Everywhere you go in Turin, posters read "Il futuro è qui." The future is here. As the final rehearsals end, the players retreat to their hotels. The noise outside fades, replaced by the quiet hum of preparation. Both Sinner and Alcaraz know that by next Sunday night, one of them will stand as the true heir to the throne of men's tennis. For Carlos, this isn't just another tournament, it's a statement. A chance to remind the world that champions aren't defined by where they fall, but by how they rise. The lights of Turin are about to dim. The crowd will roar again. And as the first ball is struck, the question that echoes across the arena is the same one on every fan's mind. Who will own the future? The fire of Alcaraz or the ice of Sinner? This is World News Tennis, your home for the stories that go beyond the scoreline, where rivalry becomes legacy. Subscribe now for the most complete coverage of the ATP Finals in Turin. Analysis, reactions, and the unseen battles that define champions.